definitely talk to us and tell us your experience. Oh, hello. We are live on YouTube today. Today's discussion is avoiding burnout, and I'm here today with the coach, Selena Lael. My name's Stefan Ravalli. I'm the host of the Serve Conscious podcast, as well as a host here on Meditation Live. Just a reminder, if you're watching on YouTube, you can't use the interactive features. Those are only available on the app, which can be downloaded on the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. As well, if you are using the app, I encourage you put your questions in the chat box and the Q&A box, or put your hand up and we can enable your mic and we can talk directly to you. These are very powerful features, and it's highly recommended to use that opportunity to talk to Selena. She has so much insight to offer. Okay, I'll pass things over to you, Selena, if you want to start with a practice to settle us in today.
Thanks, Stefan. Welcome, everyone. This is a great topic because I think we're going to dive into some jewels today around being able to avoid burnout in our lives. And if this is the first time we're getting to be together, again, my name is Selena Lael. I am a yoga and meditation instructor, a transformational coach, and an awakened life teacher. So let's close the eyes. Let's take a moment to settle in before we move more into the mind. Begin to deepen the breath. And with each exhalation, start to notice your body. Most of us live our lives in this experience of the mind, you could say in our heads all of the time. So let's just start to sense the body. Feel the hips growing heavy, making contact with the seat beneath you. Or if you're standing up, feel the sensation of the feet connected to the floor, to the earth. Relax the hands and the fingers. As you breathe, feel the sensation of the belly and the chest expanding and softening. Inhaling and exhaling. Maybe even consciously deepening the breath, elongating the breath a little more. And as you breathe, bring your awareness to the center of the chest. You could say the heart center. And feel this area of the body, maybe even the emotional heart, beginning to relax. There's nothing for you to do in this moment. You get to just be here, be in community, be with your own body, your own breath. And for these next few breaths, I invite you to find an area of the body that feels particularly tense. And then just breathe into that area without judging it, without resisting the sensation. Can you just take some deep breaths into whatever discomfort is present? Maybe even allowing the breath to relax this area inside a little more. Let us take one more full conscious breath together. Let's have one more like this. Exhale with a sigh. Inhale. Great. And let's move the shoulders a little, maybe move the head a little, and open the eyes.
Thank you for that, Selena. And if anyone has any questions or comments about what they experienced, definitely leave them in the chat box or the Q&A box. All right, so let's talk about burnout and avoiding it. It sounds like something I'd like to avoid, but how do I know when I have burnout? What are the signs of it?
Ah, there are many signs of burnout. Of course, some of the ones that seem more obvious: physical fatigue. Yes, feeling exhausted in the body, feeling exhausted in the mind, a sense of just feeling overwhelmed, insomnia, anxiety, excess tension in the body, chronic pain, and on an emotional level, feeling despondent, feeling more cynical, right? It's like feeling a sense of skepticism, not feeling connected to those natural joys that can arise every day, that grumpiness, and just feeling less connected to yourself, less connected to other people on an emotional level, maybe wanting to isolate more. There are so many symptoms, and I'd say what another important thing to also be aware of is when our immune system is down. If you find yourself catching colds quite often, or maybe other physical discomforts, diseases are arising, this can also be a symptom of burnout.
Now, this sounds like a really sort of physical manifestation here of a problem. But how much of it is also just mental? Does it just hit us like low blood sugar and there's nothing we can do? Or is there like a perceptual component to burnout?
Mm. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think for most of us, when we hear about burnout, we think my job is too stressful. My life is too stressful. I have too many responsibilities. I'm juggling so much. I'm burnt out. It's just what it is, and I have to suffer through it. I would say that burnout can oftentimes originate in the mind. It can originate from our perception of our life, the perception of our responsibilities. It may not be easy to immediately think of an example, but we can all probably relate to this in some way, that there are some times in our lives where we have something that we're really excited about, we're really looking forward to it, and so many responsibilities are coming with it. Maybe it's a wedding or a vacation, whatever it might be. There's a lot of planning, there are a lot of logistical things that you have to be aware of and be engaged in. And even though you have so much on your plate, so to speak, so much that's happening, you don't end up feeling burnt out. You might feel a little overwhelmed, but you feel inspired, you feel connected, you feel like you have enough energy to complete whatever tasks you have ahead of you. And then you have the idea of maybe a full work day, many work responsibilities. Again, most of us think about burnout as being related to work. And that can feel so exhausting with maybe less responsibility than this other environment or this other situation. So oftentimes, our experience of burnout is just our perception. It's the way that we're looking at our life, the way we're relating to it in our mind, that causes us to feel overwhelmed. There are yes, I could give more examples, but that's the baseline that I'd like to address here, that oftentimes burnout is due to our perception and the way that we're relating to our life.
All right. Wow. So much to talk about in that area. I'm going to first address a question in the Q&A box. It's from Anonymous. Is there a point of no return when it comes to burnout?
I would say no. I've never experienced that feeling of no return. So, well, I don't think that I have. But no, we have an incredible system here. Our physiology, our mind, our emotions, the ability to regenerate and rejuvenate is always available to us. Even the body is constantly changing. We have a new body every 7 years. Literally, everything is regrowing and shifting and transforming. So, no, I don't think there's a point of no return. I would say sometimes when we have the experience of hitting rock bottom, so to speak, that we might need some extra support to find that place of feeling enlivened, of feeling balanced, of feeling like we're looking forward to the day as opposed to wanting to stay in bed with the covers over our head all of the time. So, no, I don't think there's a point of no return. I do think sometimes there are extreme cases where we just need some more support in general.
Yeah, it's funny. I feel like with burnout, how we imagine it, it's as though something is extinguished in us that cannot be reignited or something like that. Like we've lost something, we'll never get back. And that can be the feeling, right? Like if you're in a state that feels depleted and feels uninspired and purposeless, it can feel like this is it. This is what I am now, and it can't really feel like there's a way out, right?
Yes. And that's also for many of us, kind of this low level day-to-day depression that many of us live inside of. There's this hopelessness that comes out when we start to feel that burnout, and that sense of, I don't even remember what it feels like to be happy, or I don't even remember what it feels like not to be an insomniac, or I don't remember what it feels like to have a lot of energy. So it definitely can feel like a point of no return. And there is a point of return.
All right, I've got a question here in the Q&A box,
Hey,
another anonymous one. How much time per day or week do we need to dedicate to mental wellness to overcome burnout?
ah, what a great question. Um, well, I would say, again, we're in this platform where we're speaking to mindfulness and meditation, right? That having a daily practice, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour split up, whatever it is, having a daily practice of meditation, to sit in stillness, to recalibrate, to come back to our own sense of center and stillness is a foundational necessity to avoid burnout. And then sometimes it's, again, coming back to this idea of perception. If I really start to understand in my mind that the way I'm viewing my job or the way I'm viewing my relationship or whatever is causing me to feel the sense of burnout, when I start to really realize and have a feeling of knowingness that the way I'm seeing the situation is what is causing burnout, the more I'm aware of it throughout the day. So rather than it just being an idea that comes and goes, I'm at work and I notice myself feeling really distressed again, or I'm just feeling like, oh, I don't want to be here. I'm feeling upset, whatever it is. In that moment, I can use my mindfulness practices to pause. Okay, I'm aware. I'm in this feeling inside of burnout, whatever it looks like for me. Can I shift my awareness right now? Can I look at something about my job or about my relationship or about my children, whatever it is, that is actually benefiting my life? Can I notice something that is good today at work that actually makes me feel a little good? Maybe there's someone at work that I enjoy being around. Or maybe we're doing something that day that actually is kind of pleasant for me. When I start to become aware that burnout is related to my perception, I can take time throughout the day as it arises to start to shift my perception. So rather than it being about, I have to spend an hour a day working on myself and finding stillness so that I don't have burnout, excuse me, it becomes something that naturally arises throughout each day, where rather than it being an isolated time of inner wellness, it becomes something that I take time for all throughout the day, even if it's just a moment of a thought of gratitude, of appreciation, of recognizing something that is working. Because again, I'm saying perception, but let's get a little more specific here. Do we feel energized when we think about how much we don't like something? Do we feel inspired when we think about how awful something is? Do we feel good inside or wanting to do something at work if we relate to it as the worst thing ever? No, it makes us feel heavy. It makes us feel anxious. It makes us feel despondent. It makes us feel like we don't want to be part of that. So, shifting our perception, shifting our awareness to become to bring to mind the thoughts that make us feel good, appreciation, gratitude, focusing on those things that are working in our life, focusing on the things that do help us feel connected to a sense of, okay, maybe my life isn't horrible, maybe there are things that I do actually enjoy. And the last thing I'll say on that, and then I'd love to hear more from all of you and Stefan, our brain becomes programmed to have these thoughts over and over again, not because we're masochistic or we don't like ourselves, but because it's a pattern. The more I think about what I don't like, the stronger that pathway is in my brain. So that even if I start to have a good day, my mind might all of a sudden detour and think about all of the things that don't make me feel good. And it's just because it's a habit, it's a pattern. So it might feel like a bit of a struggle or effortful at first to think about things that are working or that we're grateful for or that feel good. But the more that we dedicate some time throughout our day, or generally just refocus our attention on these thoughts, the more natural it is for us to think them and for us to feel good when we do.
All right, guys, keep those questions coming. I've got a question for you, though. What fills you with gratitude when you really think about it? What gives you a lift and makes you feel inspired? Leave your responses in the chat box. So, about finding gratitude as like, that missing piece when we are feeling burnt out. Um, is that all we have to do is change how we feel about a situation? How do we know when we actually have to change our situation as well?
Yes, that's a really important point. Yes, because it's not all in the mind. Sometimes we really are in environments that are not supporting us, environments that we could even call toxic. And there isn't one answer for this. For me, it would first of all become aware of the environment itself. When I walk into this environment, do I feel supported? Do I feel uplifted? Do I feel a sense of ease at all? And if the answer is absolutely not, I feel totally unsupported. I feel like it's an unhealthy environment, that it's impacting my physical health to be there, then that might be my first cue that there might be something to shift and change. Now, again, not all of us have that opportunity. Maybe we are in a job right now, again, coming back to this idea that it's related to work, even though burnout can be related to many things. Sometimes we don't have the freedom to immediately shift our career or find a new job. So that's when we can start to integrate thoughts of gratitude, taking care of ourselves, taking time for mindfulness and meditation each day. If you do have the opportunity to shift, become aware. Are the people you're around supporting you to believe in yourself, to feel good? Do you feel supported? Many studies have shown that the 10 people we spend the most time with impact and influence us to be who we are. So, are the people that you're spending time with inviting you, encouraging you to be the best version of yourself? And of course, that can be in any situation, work, personal, whatever it is. So I would just start to notice, is my environment uplifting me and supporting me? Is it physically supporting me? Is it emotionally supporting me? If the answer is no, then that might be a time to reassess. And again, not all of us have that ability to just reassess and try to find a new job, right? For many of us, it's very difficult to find a new job, or we can't just give people away in our life, right? I won't go into detail there, but maybe there are people in our life that it's not going very well with that are influencing this feeling of burnout. So, how can we work with what we have in the meantime? And Stefan, I'd love to hear any thoughts you have on this also.
Yeah, it's interesting because some people really do pride themselves on being able to be resilient within difficult circumstances. And this goes way back. I think there's an old Buddhist story of this king that wanted to experience enlightenment, so he allowed his teacher to sell him into slavery to a prostitute, and became enlightened while he was in that situation because it shows that, oh, you can still get to where you want to be in terms of your state of inspiration and growth and awakening, even within any circumstance. And yet, at the same time, we should still claim the life we want. So there's this interesting um, balance here, or a fork in the road sometimes.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I wasn't thinking in that way, and that's so important to mention, right? Especially with all that we have available to us now in terms of distraction. For many of us, if something uncomfortable comes up, what do we do? If it's an uncomfortable emotion, we try to check out. We get on our phone, we get on our computer, we go out, we have drinks with a friend, we go work out for an extra hour. We're constantly trying to get away from discomfort. If it's a situation at work, we try to avoid it. So many of us are, we're not we're not living in a time where we have to be with things all of the time, and sometimes being with uncomfortable emotions, sometimes being in uncomfortable situations and making it to the other side of them is what builds that resilience. It's what shows us that we can be confident in ourselves, that we are courageous, that we are powerful. So yes, it is that balance of of recognizing when something is truly toxic and harming us, and when something is just uncomfortable. But if we stick through it, we can grow into something. We can transform our life. We can transform an emotion. We can transform a relationship if we stay with it in a healthy way inside of ourselves.
Yeah, and people ask me like, "What's the best way to know that?" And I'm just, what can I say? But pay attention, be aware, check in with yourself. Ask the right questions. And speaking of which, I've got one in the Q&A box. My workday and the day of my colleagues are extremely busy. Oftentimes, we work through lunch, even if our work situation doesn't change. How can meditating help make our situation better?
Mm, that's such a good question and a good point, right? Because sometimes it really is practical. I'm working for so many hours a day, I'm feeling that burnout. If you've practiced with me before, you've probably heard me say this. Set an alarm on your phone. Set an alarm on your phone that goes off once every hour, and sit in stillness for 1 minute. 1 minute. And if you need to excuse yourself to go to the restroom, do that. But just sit, close your eyes, stop whatever it is you're doing, and just be still for a moment. Pay attention to your breath. Just taking that time can help recenter us, calm the nervous system, and make us more aware. Because one thing that happens that really contributes to that feeling of stress and anxiety throughout the workday is we start to breathe really shallowly. We don't stay very connected to the sense of deep breathing, which activates feeling more calm inside. So, even just becoming aware of the breath throughout the day, whether or not you set an alarm for that, even that can help to calm the nervous system. Take 5 minutes, 10 minutes once a day. Say, okay, maybe I'm not taking a lunch break, but I'm taking this 5 minute break, and go in your car or go in the bathroom or go somewhere that is maybe a little more quiet or less distracting. And just close your eyes and sit for 5 minutes. Meditation calms the mind, calms the nervous system, slows down the brain waves so that we're able to focus more easily, so that we're able to be more creative, so that we can listen to our colleagues or take information in a more effortless, balanced way. Because if you think about it, one thing that happens when we get burnt out, we can't focus as well, right? We don't listen as easily as we might if we feel more spacious inside. We feel more tension in the body. So meditation can help relieve all of those tensions and help us find that place inside where we're able to do everything that we're engaged in from a place of more balance and ease inside.
All right, I've got two comments here on gratitude. Ryan is grateful for his family and kids as well. Katie says, lately I've been feeling so much gratitude for my daily meditation practice, including the ones on Meditation Live. Thank you, Katie. We're grateful for you too. And she says, all those that support my goals to become the best version of myself. She also has gratitude for. And I'm seeing two themes here, community, family. Does this help with burnout? Like knowing that we're not going it alone feels like that's an interesting thing to look at as well.
Yes, of course, of course. And spending time with people that nourish us, spending time with people that take us out of our head, right? Because when you're with your kids, right? Let's say you've got kids that are young and running around and they bring you a lot of joy or sweetness to your heart. In the moment that you're making sure your child doesn't run out the door or fall over or do something, other than actually enjoying them, isn't your mind also refocused on something? Or if you're doing something that you really love, right? If you're dancing, or if you're hiking, or if you're playing music or doing something that fills you up, what's happening in that moment? Your mind is probably distracted with something that fills you up with goodness. Yes, you're not thinking about the dread or the stress or all of the things at work. So yes, spending time with people that uplift us, that remind us to just enjoy life, and engaging in the things that uplift us can definitely help rejuvenate us when we're feeling burnt out.
Love it. Okay. And just to anyone who wants practices to use throughout the day while they are feeling burnt out, definitely get on the app. There's some 5-minute meditations that are just these like quick little lifelines that'll help rejuvenate you when you feel the world bearing down on you. There's a trove and trove of practices in the app. I dare you to get through them all. All right, and I'll pass things over to you now, Selena. We're about near time. If you've got one more practice you want to leave us with, but thank you for today. It was so helpful and inspiring.
Thanks, Stefan. Thanks for your great input. And thank you all for your great sharing and questions. I would say one thing that really contributes to an experience of burnout is when we're so focused on the outside, we're focused on work, on life, on family, on kids, that we forget to come back to ourselves. So, of course, that's why meditation can be helpful. And that's why this practice that we're going to close with is one of my favorites. This is probably the main practice that I've used with clients for 5 or 10 years now, that always helps to bring a sense of ease inside. Because if we're always focused on the outside, how can we really know what we need? How can we listen to what we're needing? How can we be aware of what's really happening inside to be able to give ourselves something, some nourishment, some kindness, some calm? So let's close the eyes and just allow your body to be relaxed. You don't have to sit up in some classic meditation posture. Just allow the body to be at ease. And as you breathe, move your awareness inside of the body, meaning start to notice different sensations in the body without judging the sensations, without needing to adjust your posture. Can you just feel what's happening in your body right now? Maybe your mind moves from sensation to sensation. Breathing deeply, feeling the body. And then let's become aware of the thoughts. Thoughts are like clouds in the sky. They pass, they never last. They're not who we are, they're a passing experience. So, again, without any judgment, there's nothing to judge. Can you notice a thought and then just let it pass? And then notice another thought and let it pass, recognizing these thoughts are not who you are. As you notice them one by one, continuing to breathe deeply. They're just thoughts, nothing to judge. Now let's bring our awareness to the emotions. So often our emotions feel like a pool of muddy water. There's just so much inside. And sometimes we feel completely numb. So let's discern what emotions are here. And sometimes that's difficult. So start by feeling a place in your body where there's a very strong sensation. Maybe there's a knot in your stomach and you realize, oh, this kind of feels like anger. Or maybe there's a weight, a tension in your shoulders, and you realize this feels like sadness. Again, without any judgment, just notice these different feelings inside. Emotions are natural. They're very much part of our human experience, and they're nothing to be judged. So, what emotions are present right now? And there's even not a need to tell the story about why you think you're feeling this way. Even let that story pass as you simply feel the emotion in your body. breathing deeply. And then let's allow whatever is here to be as we move into the last part of this practice, taking a minute to breathe in this specific way. We'll breathe in for around 4 counts of breath, and then we'll pause and gently hold the breath. And then through the nose, we'll breathe out for around 4 counts of breath, and then gently pause. So we inhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently hold the breath. And then we exhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently pause. Inhale 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold. Exhale 4, 3, 2, 1, and hold. Let's move into this 2 more times with your own breath. And then allow the breath to be natural. Let's slowly open the eyes and notice if you feel any different inside, having taken these few minutes to just be with yourself, to sense what's happening inside. And for our takeaway, may we remember that shifting our awareness to thoughts of gratitude and appreciation can support us through burnout to feel more enlivened. Taking time throughout the day to just pause in stillness and become aware of the breath, become aware of the mind, to refocus is very helpful. Take 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day to meditate, to sit in stillness, to come back to center. And use this technique. Take time for you. Thank you all so much for your participation, for being here. Again, as a reminder, if you're on YouTube, download our app so that you can engage with us and have access to all of our on-demand content. As we move forward into the week, may we remember to take time for ourselves. Thank you so much for being here. With great love.